Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, Access Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick recap as to what happened during our Major 3 tournament hosted by the Miami Heretics in Boca Raton, Florida over the weekend. So, hope you guys enjoyed the intro as always. And to kick off this tournament, we of course had the LA Thieves, the team that you guys know I famously said were a lock for Major 3 really since the beginning of the year, taking on the Carolina Royal Ravens. I thought that with Rex, maybe this would be a little bit better than what we saw online, but it was absolutely the same. I mean, 3-0, dominant 3-0 from the LA Thieves, not really a lot to look at. And yeah, in our next series, we had the Vancouver Surge taking on Atlanta Faze. And honestly, Vancouver, they have recently become quite dominant in this matchup. So they beat Faze 3-1 here, and they had a really decisive performance. So great start to their really good land run, but more on that in a minute. In the next matchup, I actually got the upset right here. I said 3-1 Miami Heretics. I thought that Miami looked much improved online. I did not know that Mercules would be playing in place of Beans over the weekend, but I did have Miami Heretics winning this series 3-1. I just thought that their respawn would be a little bit better considering these teams just played recently. And yeah, I felt like Miami was just going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. In the next series, you guys can see I had the Boston Breach getting a Game 5 victory over Optic Texas. I liked what I'd seen from the Boston Breach online and consequently on land in the last event. I felt like they had winners round one potential, like always, and I felt like they would get another winners round one upset. So yeah, they did it here with a strong 3-0 over a really, really just rough looking Optic team at this point. And that's how we finished off our Friday. So we went into, I'm sorry, Thursday. We went into Friday with our first matchup of losers, which had Atlanta Faze taking on the Cloud9 New York boys. And yeah, pretty much as we expected, Phase 3 0 C9 New York. So looks like a roster change might be inbound this week. I'm recording this on Tuesday. So if Craze replaces Mac, then the rumors are true. But yeah, speaking of teams that might be picking someone up, the Vegas Falcons took on Optic Texas this week as well. Again, in elimination round one, you guys can see I thought it would be a game 5 victory for Pred and the boys, but Optic, they just kind of looked different from the day before, and they absolutely curb stomped the Vegas Falcons. In our next series, we had the Toronto Ultra taking on the LAG boys, and I thought the LAG boys would look decent on land, but honestly, with Mercules, it was just way too easy for these guys. They looked phenomenal. They sat forward and they destroyed the LAG boys with no effort. And then on the other side of the bracket, Minnesota Rokkr did a similar thing to the Carolina Royal Ravens. Carolina just had a really bad weekend, so that's all that can be said there. In the next matchup, the last matchup of Friday, we of course saw the Atlanta Faze boys taking on Optic Texas, and in the age-old E Clasico, Faze got another 3-0, improving Draws' total to, I believe, 17-3 all-time against Optic. Now, kicking off Saturday, we had the Minnesota Rokkr taking on the Toronto Ultra like I predicted here, but the Ultra got a 3-1 victory over the Rokkr, way more decisive than I expected it to be, and they looked really good here with Mercules. So, in our next matchup, we of course jump back to the winners bracket in the top half of things, where we had the Boston Breach taking on the Seattle Surge, and the Seattle Surge got a 3-1 over the Boston Breach. They looked very, very dominant. And yeah, they got the win where you expect them to. In the top half of the bracket, the LA Thieves absolutely smoked the Miami Heretics 3-0. It didn't even look close. So when we drop back to the bottom half of the bracket, we had the Boston Breeze taking on the Toronto Ultra, like I predicted in my bracket from last week. And the Toronto Ultra got it done in 3-1 fashion, like I thought. And then in the bottom half of the bracket, we had a major upset. We had the Miami Heretics, the hosts, beating Atlanta Faze in a game 5. It went down to round 10 on dealership S&D. And yeah, Miami boys got it done. So that gave them a top 4 berth where they started off Sunday taking on the Toronto Ultra. And I think they went up 2-0 and then Ultra reverse swept them. Is that right? Let me check. Okay, no, it was not a reverse sweep, guys. Yeah, so it was a 250 to 158 on red card to kick things off. Let's look at the series MVP. Excuse me. Sorry, allergies are getting to me, so my throat's a little dry. Joe Steves was a series MVP. Yeah, he had great stats in the series. As you guys can see, he had a 1.2 on the series, and he was clearly the best performer in the lobby. So looking at map one, red card HP went the way of Toronto Ultra, pretty much how we would all expect. Kleenex dropped 33 and 26, starting off the series really hot, and then Joe was right there with them with 30 and 26. In the map two on red card S&D, the Miami Heretics were able to get a round 11 victory behind 13 from Real and 9 from Metals. And then on the other side, Mercules put up 9 kills, which is pretty commendable since he's like the fill-in. Yeah, Map 3, Vault Control, went the way of Miami Heretics, who are a very strong Vault Control team, it must be said. So Rancor, Metals, and Super, yeah, they went nuts. Metals dropped 27, as you guys can see. Rancor and Super dropped 24. And then on the other side, Mercules dropped 27, and it was not enough for the Toronto Ultra Boys to get the dub there. In the map 4, Vault Hardpoint, of course, the Toronto Ultra were able to get their get back. They won 250 to 225 behind 35 and 35 from Kleenex and 35 and 27 from Joe Deceives. The Miami Heretics, they were down pretty bad to start, and then they really started to bring it back, as you guys can see in the it was 130 to 22 at one point, and then Miami started to bring it back 164 to 137, 177 to 155. Miami goes up 204 to 177. And then at the end, as you guys can see, Ultra finally took the lead and just never looked back. So in the game five, Rewind S&D, Ultra absolutely stomped them with a 6-1. So not really a lot to talk about here. I mean, Joe was 10-3. He was just having a map. So that's how the Toronto Ultra got done against Miami Heretics. So looking at the other matchup in the elimination bracket, we had the Vancouver Surge taking on the Toronto Ultra with Mercules. And, Merc had an amazing weekend, but this is where it ended as the Vancouver Surge got a 3-1 over the Toronto. Oh, wait. Whoops. So I'm sorry. Thieves took down the Vancouver Surge in a game five in the winners half of the bracket. It was a great game five, but LA Thieves honestly just looked better, and they looked like they owned this matchup. Yeah, I mean, let's check it out. So this is how they got it done. I mean, this was winners finals, so this was really one of the more competitive matches on the weekend. We didn't really have a lot of competitive matches, to be honest with you guys. A lot of them were just kind of like blowouts and mismatches. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So looking at it, the series MVP was Hydra. As you guys can see, he had a 1.14 and he was 91 and 80. So clearly the best performer on his team. Scrap was 90 and 84. So right there with him. And Envoy had a great series here. He was 85 and 83. And then on the other side, the top performer from the Vancouver Surge was Booza, who was 85 and 75 overall. So looking at it on map one, you had a really strong Hacienda performance from the Vancouver Surge boys. Neptune dropped 32, and Nasty, of course, was right there with them, as was 04. And yeah, that's pretty much how they got it done. So everybody except for Abuza dropped a slightly positive KD on the Vancouver Surge side. Abuza was just negative by 1 kill, so it's negligible. Then Ghosty, he dropped 26, Scrap dropped 27, but close game. Just came down to rotations and small things. Map 2 dealership S&D went the way of the Vancouver Surge. And yeah, this was where it got interesting in the series because the LA Thieves had famously said that the Surge would never see them on LAN in the grand finals. So yeah, for them to go down 2-0 in the series and be on the verge of sending Surge to a grand finals on LAN was insane. So Scrap was tweaking. It was comedy. So yeah, Booza dropped 12 and 3 on this dealership S&D. He went absolutely nuts. And yeah, it was insane. Then in the Vault Control, the LA Thieves rebounded like tremendously, right? Hydra 24 and 17, Scrap 25 and 17, Envoy 24 and 18. Everybody just did their thing. And then on the other side, Abuza 1918, the only player positive on the Vancouver Surge, but just slightly. So LA Thieves got their get back here. And then they chained that into a strong protocol performance where Hydra dropped 29 and Envoy, his sub duo, was right there with him with 28. And then on the Vancouver Surge side, 04 and Abuza Nasty, they did their very best, but Neptune had a really rough game, 20 and 27. So that's how we got sent to a game five on Rewind S&D, where the Thieves took it 6-4. Of course, who else but Scrap ran Rewind S&D? That's like his map, right? And then Hydra's right there with him with 10 and 6. So yeah, those boys got it done in the game five, and that's how they sent Vancouver to the losers bracket where they played the Toronto Ultra, like I was just saying, and they took down Mercules pretty easily. Toronto took the opening map, or did they? Let's check. No, it was a 1 point game. Vault HP 250 249 in favor of the Surge, 6-4 on Protocol. Then the Ultra swept them 3-0 on Protocol Control, and then the Surge just belted them 250 and 90 on Skyline HP, which was kind of surprising considering the Ultra were so good on it, but Vancouver were just that much better, evidently. So looking at it, we get to the grand finals, and of course, yeah, 04 got 4-0'd again.
After all that,
All appropriate. They played more maps in winners finals than they did in grand finals.
hell no.
How I feel about that. Yeah. So Hydra was the MVP of the grand finals, as you guys can see, 107 and 72. Jesus Christ. Scrap's right there with him, 97 and 77. And then Envoy had 90 kills. So yeah, those three just cooked. 250 at 228. I mean, Hydra and Scrap 34 and 33. Neptune did pretty well, 31 and 30. Nasty 27, 26 and 24. I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody in this lobby was doing pretty decent. Everybody's shooting. Like, no one had a terrible map. Map one. S&D, I mean, people are going to do okay or not that well. It's not really a big deal. Envoy was 12 and 7. Scrap was 12 and, I'm sorry, Hydra was 12 and 9. And then 04 was 10 and 9 on the other side. Nasty was 9 and 8. This did go to around 11, the Stealership. It was super close. And that's kind of like mentally where in my mind, the Surge were a little bit like gassed because then we saw the Vault. It was a 3-0 dominant Envoy 26 and 13. He was just having in their base. And then we get to Skyline Hardpoint, a map that the Vancouver Surge in this previous series had like 100-point clubbed a really strong Ultra on. And then they lose this 250 to 134. I think the Thieves had just taken too much momentum at this point. They wanted the chip so badly. They also wanted to deny Vancouver Surge the chip. So 41 and 25 from Hydra is insane. 34 and 25 from Scrap. Envoy 29 and 25. And yeah, that's how they got it done. So I guess I was right in the end. I did say that that the LA Thieves were a lock for Major 3. So even though I predicted Faze to win in my bracket, LA Thieves were always a lock in my mind to win Major 3. I just felt like with those players coming together, it was going to take a little bit of time for them to like figure out how they wanted to play and for them to get like their teamwork and really just their play style as a team solidified. And I figured Major 3 would be like an appropriate time for that to come to fruition. Also, just like observing the season, like seeing how long it took Hydra to get comfortable playing this game, especially with this team and with a role where he was getting so much like less of a ask, I guess, on the map. Like Scrap was doing so much, it was kind of like Hydra had to find a new role. So I thought that would take some time, and that's why I thought around now would be the time when LA Thieves would really hit their stride and become like really probably the best team. So yeah, that'll just about wrap it up for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night. If you are new to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, share with a friend or family member if you think they'll enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed all the COD this weekend. Thanks to everybody who came to the watch party. Really appreciate all the love. Sorry for anything I say that might be a little scatterbrained or crazy. The pollen is just getting to me, so I'm like super drowsy and out of it at the moment. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this one. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, like I said before, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, Axe Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs, and I'm signing off. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.